All right, Marty. So, what were you just saying? You've been watching wrestling,
Yeah,
and
yeah, because I'm kind of retired, and
yeah,
I have let's see, I have ESPN Plus, I have Fight Pass, I have Big Ten Plus, and then I have Flow Wrestling. So I see almost every meet there is. And last night, to start it off was Campbell University and the Army Academy, and they must have been at one of the Army bases because they were inside a hangar, and they actually had a big cargo plane at the back end opened up, and that's how the guys came out to go to the mat. And it was a really cool atmosphere, and it was Shane Sparks and David Taylor doing the commentating. So it was pretty cool. And the 3-point
so
takedown is a game changer, I think, because like I was watching a match today with North Carolina and Oregon State, and this kid from North Carolina got a takedown like 15 seconds into the match, and then rode the guy out. So now he's up 4-0. So
yeah,
then he chooses down, gets away right away. Nobody else scores, but it's 5-0 now. And that kid chose neutral, who got ridden out in the first period. And the kid from North Carolina, about halfway through that third period, gets a takedown. It's 8-0. Two takedowns, and it leads up to an 8-0 match with all the other
yeah,
scenarios that go in with it. But yeah, it's going to change it. Because just think about, like, let's say you're in a match and it's a 4-2 match and you're the one winning. You get taken down, it's 5-4 now. You got to
yeah,
get your butt away. Yeah, I like it. I mean, it's cool.
yeah. It definitely has the opportunity to like change the match pretty quickly. Obviously,
Yes,
at a certain level, it seems to potentially widen the gap um, from just some of the top tier guys because they will be able to take a lot of people down. David Taylor would have had, how many takedowns or, all these guys that are really skilled on their feet are going to widen the gap on, uh, on the field. I think I honestly think the 3-point probably will secure most of well, I guess this kind of always works out, don't you think? Like the seeds oftentimes work out. Well, this time it will seem to be like I don't know. I think there'll be fewer like upsets, I guess, because of the talent will um yeah, like you said, you get two takedowns, it could be 8-0. So
yeah, it was 8-0. It was right a guy out and get an escape, and there it is. It's over,
yeah,
And I think you're going to see a lot more tech falls too, for
yeah,
sure. But I mean, from what I've seen, I liked it. Officiating's been great.
yeah. I definitely think it from I guess I mean, whatever reason they did it, obviously, I think a lot of times the rules are arbitrary in the sense of like, some kids will it's some things it's not going to change as far as certain matches will still be close.
Right.
I think certain matches are still going to get even closer because of the fact of how much a takedown holds. You're going to see a lot of hand fighting, a lot of patience in
Yeah.
those quarterfinal, semifinal matches at nationals, but maybe on the dual setting, with like Minnesota versus Illinois, those takedowns are going to come into play a lot more this time. Whether it's a major decision, whether it's a win at all. I think those are going to be those are dramatically going to influence the wrestling. I guess, don't you think?
Yeah, for
The
sure.
dual meet.
Without a doubt. I mean, it's going to definitely, because all of a sudden you can go from a 6-2 match to where you're 10-2, and all of a sudden it's a major decision. And I think you're going to see more major decisions, and you're going to. I think it's going to be really good for the sport.
Yeah, yeah. Well, good. That's awesome. So you've been doing your research on the big, was it just Big Ten Network or Big Ten
Well,
ESPN
well, it
or
was
not? Sorry.
ESPN Plus, and then on that they had the ACC network, but it's a Big Ten Plus. And then last night it was on Fight Pass, and on UFC. I found out that all of a sudden they're going to start covering some wrestling meets. So it's $9 a month, and I have it through March, and they've got like 15, 20 matches. Like coming up this week is Iowa State versus Cleveland State. Yeah, I mean, the way they did it last night with Shane Sparks and David Taylor, it was absolutely awesome.
Yeah. So the production was top
Very good.
notch.
Very good.
That's
Yeah, totally.
awesome. So tonight we're joined by Fernie Silva, Hononegah graduate. Like I said, Division II wrestler at Notre Dame and Division I wrestler at Indiana. So when just to catch people up, how long ago was it that you wrestled at Hononegah?
I got there in 13. I graduated in 16.
Okay. And Marty, you were just a fan in the program. Well, yeah, right. You were out of it then, right?
I was kind of out of it. I've always been out of it and in it every once in a while. And I kind of liked Fernie, so it was kind of fun watching him mature as a young man and become a state champ, another state champ at Hononegah High School, and watch what he did as a college wrestler. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, state champion, Hononegah. One of how many, Marty? How many are there?
There's like 12 or 14, 12 or 13 out of 14.
Gotcha.
There's a few now.
Yep. Well, yeah, Fernie, what's up, man? How have you been? You're back in the area, kind of, right? You're back home, and then you're teaching in Beloit, right?
Yeah, I'm teaching at Aldridge Middle School. Now I'm back. I'm here in Durand now, so finally back home for good.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know what to really kind of talk about with you, just because you're not really currently coaching at a program and stuff, and we started to bring some people that are from the past who were conference standouts, whether it's the Nick 10 conference or just the area in general. Yeah, I guess we haven't got really time to chat too much, but how was your experience at Notre Dame? Because I'm curious about where that is. Where is it in general first?
It was South Euclid, so we were only like 20 minutes away from Cleveland. So
Okay.
Yeah, it was sweet. It was cool. It was a great atmosphere, and it was a good like kind of intro to like just that next level wrestling. And I think it was, what were you saying?
What I was gonna say is, how did you end up getting recruited there? Like, what was the process as far as getting you there?
I had Anthony Ralph reached out to me. He was really cool. He's the recruiter now at Ohio State. He's a good talker. He's a really good guy. He was really good about just kind of checking in with me, especially like my senior year. He would always check in, call me, and like just ask how things were doing. Then I always had some of the guys that were already there just check in with me and ask how everything was going. So he's just kind of just staying on, checking in with me.
Yeah. So that was just a comfortable fit. You didn't really like contemplate other places or anything like that?
No, not really. Like for me, it was more like it was like it was like going into my senior year that I like committed to go to Notre Dame, and I think just like the jitters of just wanting to be like, all right, I'm good. All I gotta worry about is just school and wrestling now. Like I don't gotta worry about the next part yet. And
Yeah.
it was sweet. Like I enjoyed that whole like that comfort of not having to stress about where I was gonna go. And told my dad, I was like, I don't even care. I just want to wrestle. Like D1, D2, D3, it don't matter to me. Just put me in. I want to go to school and I want to wrestle.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you ended up All-American there, and then after that, you transferred to the Division I level. How did that come about?
ooh, that one was good. It was fun. I had a buddy, Matt Ortiz. He was from Montini. He was a state champ. He kind of like, I think it was like summer. It was like in that summer where he was just kind of like, hey, like I'm going out here to practice. What are you doing this weekend? Blah blah blah. And I was like, you know what, sure. Like I don't mind. I'll go out there with you. Showed up, got to walk around, and sure enough, Angel approached me and kind of was just like, hey, we have open mat, blah blah blah. If you want to come in, you're good to show up. It was just me and like Matt at that point because I don't think they could be in there, and just me and Matt got to roll around. I know they had cameras in there, so I think that was like how they got to get a little gist of what was going on. But they were really cool about it, and Angel was awesome. So was Isaac, Jordan, Jason. It's a great staff.
So they just recruited you somehow you decided that you wanted to go to the next level, to the highest level, and go there. So then it kind of just happened, right?
Yeah.
And so how many years did you wrestle there?
I stayed there for 2 years, and then Angel, he gave me a chance to be like a grad assistant. So I stayed there for the 3rd year, and I got to like be in the RTC, wrestle and coach with the guys and run some of these practices. It was sweet. It was an awesome time.
Yeah. And I looked a couple weeks ago at the bio that you had from University Indiana University, right? Or the University of Indiana, which is one of the two.
University of Indiana.
Yeah. But I saw
Indiana
and I saw your credentials and your experience and stuff, and you were a starter the entire year, your senior year, as a Big Ten school. Like what was, Marty was pretty fired up about just the wrestling that he was talking about, but how did you enjoy how was your experience wrestling the entire year on the Big Ten?
It was awesome. Like every weekend you're just kind of like, you get to expect like, it kind of like remind me of like kind of like a UFC type of scenario where you're like, who your opponent is, every week you got the schedule, and it's a long season. It feels like forever, but it's awesome. Like the amount of like great matches and like the people you get to see and just the environment alone is just, it's really next level. It's just sweet. And I definitely would say that for sure.
Well, did you get to wrestle at Carver?
Yeah, I did. That was a fun one. Carver is awesome. It's a great arena. It was a sweet arena. Definitely.
Who did you wrestle?
Pat Lugo, and it was it was an upsetting match. Very short
Okay.
on that one, but it was fun. I wish we would have wrestled again. It would probably been a better match for me. But It was fun. It was a pretty good duel at the time. I know we had some good matches, some really big matches. I know our 57 had a really good match. Those were some good ones. I think our 33 had a really big win, surprised some people. But it was good. It was fun.
Yeah, and I saw you got to wrestle in the Big Ten tournament, which obviously Marty, you've been to the Big Ten tournament. It's a pretty it's a big spectacle. It's a good tournament. It's obviously the second best tournament in the season, I would assume. And yeah, I mean that's pretty cool to get the opportunity to go out there.
Yeah, it was blessed. Penn
Where
State
were
for Big Tens the year I was coaching? That one was sweet. They did in the field house, and it was sweet. It was definitely, they really took it to the next level for that too.
Yeah, and now just going into what you're up to now. So you graduated. Well, so you were a grad student at Indiana, and now you're a teacher. So where are you teaching at?
I teach at Aldridge. I'm a 6th grade teacher there. So
and
I was
in
5th grade last
Wisconsin,
year,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You were in 5th grade last year, 6th grade this year. How's it going this year?
It's fun. I liked it. I was kind of nervous going up that one like little grade, but it's like intermediate, and then you go into middle school. But it was cool. I think it was a good fit. My principal there was from IU as well, so he kind of was like, "Hey, I think you'd be good here. I think we should try you right here." I think he just kind of gave me a shot, and he was really cool. They've been really good at that school, just helping me and making sure I have people to go to if I need any help or anything like that.
Yeah, that's great. Have you been I guess is there a wrestling community in that school district that you're in?
Yeah, they do. They do like an 8-week season, so they have like a middle school wrestling, and it flies by pretty fast. But they had like they have like a big conference tournament with the schools in the area. They duel each other. It's pretty cool. There's like 6 duels, and then there's a big conference tournament.
Have they approached you at all? Do they know that of your credentials and stuff?
Yeah, last year was I coached there last year for the middle school team, and it was fun. I had a blast. I got to see the kids like at a younger age, and like I haven't worked with like younger kids in probably a really long time since I was younger, but I got to like coach them through a season. It was fun. I had a lot of like kids who were just kind of like tough, mean kids that just wanted to be put in a position where they could like use that aggression and use all that leftover energy for a positive, good way.
Yeah. And yeah, we've talked to a few coaches about the middle school programs and like what type of athlete you're kind of like, what type of kid you're working with is a different type of kid than say like a kids club kid that, is in it on the weekends and going all around and stuff like that. So what high school do they feed into?
Floyd Memorial. I think all these schools over there, they all feed into Memorial or Turner.
Okay. Marty, you know much about that school? It's
Blake?
close, right?
Yeah, we used to go to the Blake tournament back in the early days. Back in the early '90s, we went to the Blake Memorial tournament. They had a great high school tournament, and they actually had a pretty good high school wrestling program back then. And it's just, wrestling's a very tough sport, so it's
Yeah.
tough to keep kids out, and you know.
So do you know how good is their program now, Fernie?
That Blake, are you
Yeah,
asking?
or yeah, both of you.
I don't know now. It's tough to keep a consistent sport and then keep it going. But they're
Yeah.
doing the right things, like with Fernie, with the middle school programs. That's what you got to do. There's so many kids you can find just through that program that'll be very, very good in high school if they stay with it.
Yeah, I think Memorial does a really good thing with that conference tournament. They host it at the high school. So they get like all these small schools that are feeding into Memorial, and they get to just like, for me, it looks like they get like a front row view at just, all right, who's coming in for our freshman class and stuff like that. And they have a pretty good team. I think they have a younger team. They're on a rebuild for last year was like a rebuild year. This year they should have guys coming back. It'll be pretty good for them. And I think what they're doing with all these middle schools, I think it's going to play out, especially when all these kids get to the freshman year.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
They have a coach like you in the middle school.
Oh, it's awesome.
Like,
I get kids.
That's like a hidden gym.
I'll tell kids to hit doubles. They'll be hitting doubles from their stomach if I tell them, like, they're willing. They're whatever it takes. It's fun. It's definitely like a good change of pace, but you get to see the kids like really like enjoy learning these new things. And like I remember one of the duels, we got back to the bus early. I was like, hey guys, let's go get a snack. Like, good job, we all did good. And they were just so confused about it. But I was like, hey, like we did good. Got everybody some drinks and like Gatorades and like some primes and stuff like that. But like just that alone was just like, all right, we did good and we get this. And it just, something small like that just made them like all hyped and excited for it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. Marty, you have any questions for Fernie or thoughts about his time at Hononegah?
Well, his time at Hononegah, he was great. He had the mindset, to become a state champ in Illinois, you got to have this mindset, and he had it. And he was very driven, and there were a lot of people there that helped him. And and then when he got into college, and for him to go from Notre Dame to take that big step to Indiana is just like, there's not many people that do that. You become an All-American at Notre Dame, like, I'm going to stay there and I'm going to maybe try to be a national champ. But instead he chose to even push himself even more and go to Indiana and wrestle in the best conference. And the Big Ten is the second best tournament in the country next to the NCAA tournament. And he did it. It was so cool when I was at the Midlands a couple years ago, and there was two guys in the Big Ten wrestling from Hononegah, him and Tony Cassiopeia. I was kind of like proud. I'm like, oh my God, two kids from Hononegah wrestling in the Big Ten, and it's cool. I'm very proud of what he's done. And he's a teacher, which is even better. I totally am impressed. Yeah. We just got to get him in where he's in the Hononegah wrestling room.
Yeah, Marty, that's where it started. And I'll say, I remember Justin, I was going in for special education. That was my first thing. And I did shadowing with Justin Weeman. And I went in, I think I changed to go into like liberal studies, like my sophomore going into my junior year. But for a while, I think I was going to go right to special education. And I found that out through you and Justin. So do appreciate all that.
You got it, man. No problem.
Yeah, well, it is great that he's out there and he's in the building. I think it's always good especially like the coaching aspect. Like, I like coaching, but I don't know how much I want to do as far as teaching or inside the school or whatever. I didn't pursue that path, but it's definitely so much better if somebody, is in the building that is a wrestler who gets to communicate like on a normal basis, like on a regular day-to-day stuff. And then at the same time get to introduce them to that. So I think it's great that I think that would be that's a good like age group, don't you think?
Oh yeah, it's awesome. They're like we're kind of at the point where like they're like getting into like I guess they're maturing more, they're getting like more like just getting figuring out themselves a little bit more, and they get to like kind of like give them I guess kind of give them a little push onto like hey like this is what's next, this is what you're preparing for. Like last year I was walking the kids to class. Now you get to walk yourself to class. Like you get to give them more responsibility and see how they kind of do with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I imagine so. Um, yeah. So what else is going on in wrestling? Like what are you excited about as far as the sport and whether it's locally or I know your brother is wrestling in high school still. What excites you about the season that's coming up, and will you be around and paying attention to it?
Yeah, I'll be looking around. I'm around here now, so I'm excited just to see. I'm excited for like the conference, honestly, just alone. But yeah, you got TJ now, and he's at Hana, so it's cool. Like getting to see, I guess another Silva there is gonna be it's gonna be fun. And I'm excited for him. I know it's a big step for him now. He's from 1A to 3A, so there's just a lot more. I think there's a lot more for him just to like kind of see where he's at, and then just kind of it's cool being on an outside view where I'm not like I have to play the older brother role and I don't got to play the coach role or anything like that. So it's cool, and I'm excited to see how he does, and then how the team does, and it's gonna be sweet.
How's he
Yeah.
doing with the transition so far to Hononegah? Is he enjoying it?
I think so. I think it's a big school. He's like a little fish in a, you know what I mean, but a big pond now. But I think he's doing good. I think he's starting to understand like he's getting a lot of help and stuff like that, and I think he's done a really good job socially, just making friends. And I think I know Tyler's done a really good job at just kind of introducing him to who the right people are and stuff like that. So it'll be good. I'm excited. Excited for the
And
upcoming.
and just to give context, so Fernie, your brother is a junior,
Yep.
and he's wrestling currently at Hononegah. He was previously at Dakota, which is a
Mhm.
small school, and Vince Albert was just on talking about the size of that school.
Mhm.
He's a state champion, and now he's at Hononegah, where you went. And Marty, how big is that school?
Almost 2,000 kids.
Yeah, so
Actually,
much
1,911
okay,
because I just saw the population for the football playoffs. So yeah,
okay,
it used to be over 2,000 though.
but a pretty significant number of change in students and stuff, and he's
Yeah.
there. He's
Yeah.
there, and wrestling division, the class 3A, which is obviously maybe the more challenging based off of the size of the schools and stuff. Is definitely the most difficult class for most weight classes. Not all weight classes, but most of them. And yeah, so that's going to be an interesting year to see how he impacts. He's obviously impacting the conference team. Hononegah is going to be a favorite, I would say, by a landslide right now, and for the conference tournament and just overall dual meet, they have so many good athletes on the starting lineup this year. And it's going to be interesting to see how many kids they get to the state tournament. So that's going to be exciting. So I would agree. It is going to, has he, do you see him stepping into, maybe, I mean, I guess Marty, that's a good question for you. Like how much would you expect a kid that comes in like this to take roles, like leadership roles, I guess, on the team?
Well, he would be definitely one of the biggest leaders on the team because he's been there. He's been to
Yeah.
Champaign. There's nobody else in that room that's been to Champaign. They haven't had a state qualifier in 2 years. So none of those kids have gone to Champaign and wrestled where TJ has. And he's been through everything. I mean, he's been a place winner and a state champion. And so he knows everything. He knows how to warm up, where you should warm up, where you should be. I mean, it was very critical when I became a coach and we started sending kids down to state that we kept the same routine at the same place, stayed at the same hotel, weighed in, warmed up in the same area. And maybe TJ can do that. Or if Fernie's there, he'll know because Fernie's wrestled for Hononegah. So, I mean,
Yeah.
but I think I think he should be a great leader for them. When they get into those sectionals and stuff like that. I mean, 3A is brutal, right, Fernie?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun season. It's a good schedule
Yeah.
too. I'm excited for their schedule this year too.
Yeah.
TJ was excited. He brought it to me the day it came out and everything. So he had me make copies of it, printed it. He has it hung up on his door already. So
That's awesome.
That is awesome. Yeah, Marty, you said that perfectly. I couldn't have said it. Nobody could have said it better. So yeah, I think what you said was great because he is the leader just by experience alone.
Yeah.
And he has I mean, that's going to be such an interesting development from the season to see that team kind of mature throughout the season.
And he learned because all 3 of his brothers were state qualifiers and state champions and stuff like that. I mean, you learn that usually the youngest kid in the family is the best kid because he gets the living shit beat out of him every day by his brothers. Am I right, Fernie?
yeah, he's pretty spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
There
right,
definitely is.
story.
Yeah, there definitely is something to the young one has to survive. So they have to become tough quickly.
I mean, I remember watching him in kids club. He's a tough little kid then,
Yeah.
it's a snowball effect. And I think it's going to make a big difference for the wrestling program at Hononegah, and they're somewhat young, they got a few seniors, but they're somewhat young. They just make sure they have those numbers. So when it gets to a point where you win a regional regional title and you go to dual sectionals, you can qualify for state. It's a whole nother ball game, isn't it, Fernie?
Yeah, no, that's sweet. And that's just like a different like environment, especially when you're like the day after state and everyone's kind of like either feeling it or like, and I mean, they're like in there, oh, we got to make weight. Then you get like, it's just a different like environment as far as like you get to see those people that really want to take it. All right, we're going to dual team state. We're going to bring back hardware. I know it's been a couple of years since Hana's brought back hardware, but like, I know all those kids are already talking about it. Like they were looking forward to we're bringing back something this year, stuff like that. And it's cool seeing them like it just doesn't end right there with just state individually. It's the team aspect of it too.
Yeah. It's good for them every time they walk in that wrestling room, they can look at the wall and see those teams that have gone to state and say, I want to be that,
Yeah.
That's why all this stuff's hanging there.
Yeah, it's cool too to just continue the momentum, I think, from the conference too. Like, the Nick 10 obviously now will have, I mean, again, the season's not even started yet, so we can't we can put as much pressure. They have to deal with the pressure of that, but there's a huge opportunity for those guys as a team. So looking forward to it. Anything else you got that you're excited about that you've been up to wrestling wise?
I got one question for him. Question for him.
Okay.
Are you going to be in that room, Fernie?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to be here and there. I know Tyler reached out to me about it, and I know I had to do some like get some paperwork stuff figured out. But yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna try to be there hopefully as much as I can. I know like I'm going to school right now as well, on top of being a teacher. So it's
you getting your master's?
Yeah, I'm going right now to get my master's too. So
good for you.
Yeah, thank you.
You got it.
Yeah, I'll definitely try to be in there as much as I can. Otherwise, I guess we're gonna be in the living room, rolling around.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Fernie, anything else you got that you anything else before I let you go?
Last thing, what do you guys think about, so do you think we have the 3-point takedown in college now? Everything else, wrestling on the edge, riding time, when do you think it's going to be a thing for high school wrestling? Or do you think it won't be a thing?
It should be. Wrestling on the edge and the 3-point takedown should all be at the high school level because it just makes it so much easier to transition to college wrestling. I love the wrestling on the edge. It's just a game changer. And then, like I was telling before that we got together, is I've been watching a couple of college duels because they're already started today. And the 3-point takedown it's changed the game. I mean, you're in a 4-2 to match, and that guy who's got 2 points gets takedown. It's 5-4, and he wins the match. I mean, It totally changed. It's a total game changer, and Dalton and I were talking about it, and yeah, both things should totally be involved in the high school level.
Yeah, no, I was talking to I was talking to my dad about it the other day, and he was like asking me, he's like, "Do you think they're gonna do riding time soon?" I'm like, they kind of should too. Like you're gonna on bottom. Like the biggest advice I give kids that go from high school to freshman year in college is just bottom and hand fighting. Like those are the two things you're gonna need to be ready for. So
I've heard it from every Division I wrestler. The exact same thing.
And it's that hand fight. It's borderline hand fight. It's physical. So I definitely think something wrestling on the edges. I feel like something they should for sure incorporate. 3-point takedown. Maybe they wait on it. We'll see. But definitely wrestling on the edge. You have a big enough mat, big enough circle.
Oh, you do.
Yeah, I think everything is feasible. I don't understand what, I mean, to be honest, we should never be wrestling by like different rules. It's not some rules like say for instance in other sports, rules are based off of the developmental stages, right? So it's like if they're not big enough, then they can't hit, or I don't even know, like just certain rules are based off of the age and development of the athletes. But in wrestling, it really should never change. The rules should be uniform at all levels, and then the athletes kind of adjust. I mean, if I think maybe they're just testing out this 3-point takedown, right? Like obviously it changes history of wrestling, right? Like from this point forward, all history as far as like scoring records and everything is just different than the previous generation, which is fine. I mean, it's not a big deal. You just obviously that will never that's one thing that it will never continue on, right? Like if somebody gets the most tech falls, it's just not the same as the most tech falls in the past time or whatever.
True.
So the rules are different, but you might as well just change it all, like just change it and have everybody else adopt it. But I guess what stops? Oh, because it's just the National Federation, right, Marty? So they just adopt the rules based off of. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, hopefully that process kind of goes quicker, and the less politics get into it, and they just adopt it quickly. Because I agree. I think that the 3-point takedown is going to be good for the developmental process. I think it will help streamline the focus of developmental technique, like hand fighting, and getting good setups and getting good defense and stuff like that, because they're a little bit more significant, right? Before, you could get taken down and you could get up and you're okay. So you're not, there's just a lot more importance on the hand fighting and setup, so you can get a good shot in, so you can take it down. So I think, that makes the most sense, because the 4-point back points is in high school, correct?
Yeah, I believe so. Still think, is that right, Marty? 4-point back near fall.
That one I don't know. I don't think it is. I think it's just in college. A 4 swipe and a four swipes is a 4-point. Yeah, I don't think it is. It's still 3 and 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. I think a lot of wrestling organizations or like governing bodies, they miss the boat because they talk too much. They don't just I guess follow the leader, right? Like, I don't know.
I don't know. I just feel like we're not giving out riding time on bottom. That's not giving many people incentive to pick. Yeah, I mean, we're not going to pick bottom, and then we're just avoiding picking neutral all the time. Now we go into a freshman year, we're freaking out because we can't get out on bottom. It's like, well, you never got put to the position where you had to get out on bottom, and you weren't afraid to get ridden out, losing points. So it's gonna be interesting. But I'm excited for the season for college too.
Me too. I love it.
Yeah.
Fernie, I'm proud of you.
Sweet. Thank you.
Yeah.
The UFC thing is sweet too.
Yeah. We need teachers like you.
I appreciate it. Thank you for everything too.
You got it.
All right, guys. Well, I'll let you guys go tonight, and hopefully we'll chat soon. We'll definitely have you on when we're talking about Hononegah and the season and how it goes. And besides that, thanks again for coming, Marty.
No, thank you for having me.
You got it.